mistake? How is it?
Big deal. There's 7
How's a
chances.
mistake? I've been told every day of my life, and I'm 24 years old right now, that I would leave.
Okay, I'm not saying one person made a mistake to you, but I'm saying over the 50 chances.
Everybody said that back some of the day. Just as much as you explain.
No, because maybe someone died. Maybe someone died.
Possibly. It's not like
Someone died before the kid was born. The mother died in childbirth, and they adopted by a Levi family, and they told him he's a Levi.
No,
they were arrested. Sure,
it's hard.
No, it's likely. Why is it
unlikely? Everybody knows that
it could be as highly unlikely as possible.
All right. Thank you for coming. Coming for our first public event at the Torah Center. Right, there's a lot of Torah comes out of the smoking Rosh Hashem. Hanukkah Sabbats, right? Apropos for Kislev, I suggest some reflections on the meaning of Codesh Kislev, and then we'll continue talking as long as people can stay awake. But just for now, for starters, the Sefer Yetzirah says on the thought of Kislev, Himlich Samech B'Shena, right? That what reigns in on Codesh Kislev is the letter Samech in sleep. Samech B'Shena. Right? So unpack that a little bit. What's why Shena? Why the Samech? So the Goyim in this Pirush on Sefer Yetzirah, says something very interesting that Royal is vulnerable. That the Beis Hamikdash, right, is the bed chamber, right? That's the bias, between us and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You have to put bias, right? And and the Kodesh is beside Chadar Mishkavos, right? Where they lay, where the zivug is, right? So it's Shena, it's where we live intimately with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? It's a davar nifla who's bumming that when Rishon gets his zivug, it starts with Vayapel Shelokim Tardei Malav. It goes to sleep, right? And then when he wakes up, he finds his zivug, right? Years later, not next week's parsha, which generally is the first parsha in Codesh Kislev, Parshas Vayikra, right? Vayikatz Yaakov Yishnatzil. Right, then, I think Geshem Azev Makom Azev Lokaladu Ein Zekim Beisel. Right, so it's again waking up from the sleep, and it says Ein Zekim Beisel Kim, and Chazal consider that the godless of Yaakov, Yaakov Korov vibes, not Avram Shekorov Har, and not Yitzchak Shekorov Sada. That's per last week's partially. So Sada Yaakov Korov Ein Zekim Beisel Kim. Which is that's crazy. Bishlam Avram called it a Har because it's hard. Right, it's called a Sada because there's a Sada, right?
It's in even quality because he went out to the Sada.
Right? Yeah, but because I understand that he referred to it that way. And that's also remember this was where Ray Rapidly Korea a Sada ship not ship. Right, so that's what Yitzchak liked about Esau, which I can't get into right now, but I discuss it in my Sefer on Gracious, the Machal Shalamis. They have Yitzchak's affinity for Esau being an Ish Sadeh. Sadeh. But right, so very rapidly correct. So because Yitzchak also corrupt Sadeh. Right there. Right. That ain't come up louder, but I discussed it in my Sefer. The right. But it is a Sadeh, right? And that's what the Navi says when the act of hey. Right. What do you got for us?
We got a regular bottle.
Okay,
Then we got the special.
Right.
Oh
Just
my God!
Just taste it.
No, this ain't going anywhere too far. This has to get some of the tire first.
Yeah.
What is it?
Maybe the Torah will be better.
Yeah.
A taste.
Whoa! No,
Be careful with that.
I know I did go to the mikvah.
Hey. Yeah, we got some.
Yeah, of course.
Take the mind of that. So
Where are you?
you guys know Torah?
Oh, yeah.
No.
No, sure. Grabbing a wing and a little.
Next.
This is.
Give me fresh.
Yeah.
coffee.
Yeah, I know where it is.
They have some.
Don't spill anything on the table.
Yeah, I
Oh,
made
well,
the
it's an
links.
insane amount.
Not only thing, I made the links.
Yeah.
Lahad.
No, come to us really quick.
Oh, man, this is good.
It's the best.
It's unbelievable.
It's eating too.
It's very good.
I understand it's very alcoholic. Not just a little bit. It's 160.
Wait, I need to understand this matter, so.
You haven't bring anything in?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I have.
So I like.
Is
I'll see if I need it.
It's like this.
It's not being live streamed around the world, by the way.
Oh my gosh.
If you're drinking and one season.
Wait, where's the camera? Oh,
Yeah.
Anyone in Shidduchim?
I bought this bottle for you guys.
No, you say this like this, we're not going to
Okay,
get.
fine, you're
Right,
right.
but, anyways, so
It's very strong.
so that's I see all soda technology, right? Yeah, it's a soda. It's a soda. Like right now, you see trees growing there. It's a soda. Yaakov called it ice. There wasn't even a stone on top of the stone. It was an empty lot. Open, empty lot. Why did you call it ice? Because I'm saying it's
One cup,
Yaakov called it ice. It's a bigger shoes, but they call it nowadays. Okay, Yaakov, because I wrote Yaakov called it ice, right? Right, which is base on matrix, base on matrix, right? But the truth is that Avinu that he saw it as a har. This is in the Maamar, right? The Avinu saw it as a har. That Elokus, what they say you have to ascend to it. It's beyond. It's a mountain to climb. Yitzchak, right, with the Mida Gvura, which is the son of Avoda. It's a son. You work with it. You work with it. You invest, and you get back, which is very interesting. Yitzchak Avinu was the only one of our others that was into agriculture. Abraham and Yaakov, they're into sheep.
Yeah, does that connect?
He's an Ish Sadeh.
Does that connect
He is into Sadeh.
Does that connect to the puzzle where it was Mesiach Usada and like
Yeah, that's what we're saying. That's the whole thing.
That's right. That's what I said. It's Sadeh. Avoid.
avoid
Avoid. You're working. The avoided, of course, the Adon here is the leader of Mars. They come out. Avoid, right? You work with it. You work with it. Jacob Crow, guys, is the shot is, the condition is not, it's of course the first two also. You're in this diving with it. You live with it. You unite with it. That's why that video is the one that's called Codesh per se. Right?
You live with what?
You live with the condition. It's not on the outside you interact with either by ascending to it or working with it. You are in this diving with it. Much. Not to crawl by it. So this was the rich stuff. Right? And it's made with both ordination, and Yaakov, they each one get their bias. Ordination gets hot, right? And Yaakov even realizes things that listen after they wake up from sleep, right? So that and that's one you saw that there's a histalkus hamoichin when you we go to it, right? And but then you come back even better, come back even stronger, right? You come back, you get hateful, right? There's histalkus, but it's you read a shitsar, and you come back and you get more, you get time, right? So now an amazing thing. The very last promo was by Mori Gorani with Moshe Shapiro, and after that, I never saw him again. Got sick, and then I moved to America, and Azava Tarnalam, right? So the very last poem I was by him. So and right at that Purim is when I gave the Katsara, my thesis on the Kodesh, the Seder of the Rambam Sefer Mitzvahs versus the Yad Chazaka. At that point, so I have that pieces. That left pieces of that. There's still the kind of I love Mori Barabi. Get it out there. But anyways, so I asked him the following to Shiloh. Right, Kasha. There was a, because Shushan Plug, there was a Yishka in Baishani called Shushanabi. They couldn't find a better name. Right, so it's a Lishka. So even though it was in this Sussex Hall, right? What?
I'm just learning.
Yeah, it was just the middle of that, yeah.
Really? No. That's all right. Better name it after, the capital of Persia, right? call it Lishka, the base of, you know, in the base of it, you call it, you know, so he's, sorry, look. זה להודיע ולגבורה, שכל ענייני בית שני נבנו מכוח נסיון.
Wow.
Right?
Where's that come from?
The Nesipur is what built by Shimon. It's all built on the Nesipur. And that's why they named one Lishka Shushan Abir. So it took me time. This was like other guys around and we were all drinking, but that's
That's where it comes out.
no. So yeah, it took me time to hop, you know, based on things that I learned in the Raman Valley and other Ksavim, that, you know, what Haman and Achashverosh tried to do was to capture the Shechina in Shushan Abira and make it the new Yerushalayim. But they had to figure out a plan for the day after. If the whole world exists, Mikoach the Shechina, Ba'atam Mechayas Kulam, that's the Shechina. Atam, Shechina, Ba'atam Mechayas Kulam, right? It's the Hebrew of, you know, Zer B'Nukrim, Ba'atam Mechayas Kulam. If Am Yisrael's dead, there's no Shechina on earth. The world disappears. Oof, right? They had to have a plan for the day after. What was their plan? Right? How would they keep the world going the day after they annihilate Am Yisrael? What would hold the Shechina on earth to be Machaya? The plan was to make Shushan Habira the new Yerushalayim. And that's decided by the Sudas Church. He took out the big day Kahuna, you know, Masher Shechina, and that's
What was the answer to the question?
How's that supposed to help?
right. No, they thought they could capture Shechina about the year.
How would they do that?
Why not just-
Because they had declared Mikdash.
Question
That's
was
a big
assuming that
day
you can't do that.
What?
The question was assuming that you can't do that.
They thought they could. They were wrong.
So then
Of
why
course they were
not?
wrong. Of course they were wrong. But
Just keep it-
what were they planning?
Why do you need to make it Shushan Abir or keep it in Yerushalayim? If it's here, it's here.
No, because why should it be here? The
They want
anchor to Jewish people has to have an alternate anchor.
Why is it?
An alternate? They're actually trying to capture.
So live
So
in
you
Yerushalayim.
understand the godless of what Achashverosh said, what a hypocrite he was. So after God Yulo Chazi, Mazek Chazi, that Kayadua, Esther was the Merkava of Malchus, you know, of the Shechina, the Sod Shchita Begodusa, that's Esther and Beis Achashverosh. Bayom Hashishi, Tilbash Esther Malchus, Love Ruach Codesh. Malchus is the meat of Shechina. Lopsha, Tilbash Esther Malchus, the son of Ruach HaKodesh, like of David Amal, of the meat of Malchus, right? So when Achashverosh, you know, points at Haman and says, "Agam lichlo shesamalka imi babas in the biggest secret in the world," that's exactly what he was trying to do. Lichlo shesamalka imo babayis, the Shechina captive, and that was beside having Esther bebeis Achashverosh. And that's what they wanted. You know, they wanted to make Shushan the new Yerushalayim and hold the Shechina there. And that's what's going to keep the world going. And that's the sign, you know, that Esther says, Yinosin Gam Machar Layutin. One more day, just to kill in Shushan, just to kill. Only in Shushan. Right? And so Yerushalmi says that they were metake Shushan. Losses covered the Yerushalayim. Losses covered the Yerushalayim. Because they wanted to make Shushan the new Yerushalayim, right? So that's all part of the Menafel. They tried to capture the Shechina up there and make, you know, Shushan the Yerushalayim. So because that's part of the Menafel, that not only did it not succeed, but that's what built. It's what built by Hashem. Right?
When is this first Codesh have to do with Purim?
No, we're going to contrast Purim and Hanukkah. That's what I want to do. I'm sorry, but I'm taking the scenic route to get.
No, it's not just you. I heard music from Herman today, so I was what's going on.
What? What's your report?
Music.
That wasn't me.
I
didn't do it.
So is that when we're saying this massive hypocrisy that he's
That's exactly what he was
is
trying to do.
is that maybe the Gemara's kavanah that Achashverosh Malcham?
Yeah, of course, you know. Of course, he's not Fafa. You know, he goes wherever the wind is blowing. You know, and now it's blowing against Haman. That's what he was trying to do when he took out the clay on Mikdash and wore the big day kuna by his Suda. He was trying to bring the Shechina to Shushan. And that way he could get rid of the Jews and the world will continue to exist because, you know, we have the Shechina, the Bata B'chai Kulam lives in Shushan. instead of Yerushalayim. Right? So we call everything down. So like that's L'Zecher, so they call one Lishka based on the Shushan. It's all because of the Nafochel problem, and that's what took the Beis Hamikdash in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah. Right? That there's so what's it say over there? Yeshno echad. So what's the Gemara say? Atri Yeshno min hamitzvos. They're asleep. Then Tardim, which is Histalkus Hamayim, right? Yashnu mitzvahs, we could take it almost. Yashnu min hamitzvos, right? But that Yashnu was like, like the Yashnu of Adam Rishon, like the Yashnu of Yaakovinu. They wake up from that sleep and they come back even stronger, right? And they come back with this nace. Let me call that nace. The Beis Hamikdash was rebuilt, which was the Gemara of getting out of ghosts, getting the Shekhinah out of ghosts, right? Putting it now in the Beis Hamikdash, right? Yeah. So but that's the contrast of being asleep and then waking up, right? You're going, ma'afel. It's the b'nafoch. It's the b'nafoch. Histalkus amachim. Then you come back with bigger moichin, and that's also the Maamar what's written in Kislev. That the histalkus amachim, you go to sleep, but it's a you read a shitzach because your neshama goes to the sifted lakia. And then you come back even stronger when you wake up, and that's why you have your biggest creative thoughts. So Kislev, but tichud wake up is when you have your most creative stream of thoughts. It's fresh from the recharging, so the rakia. So those these stalkers, but you come back even stronger. But that's when you go from asleep to awake. When you go from that rapid transition, you really tzarach aliyah, you went down and you come back even stronger, right? The rebound effect, right? That you don't just get back to where you were, you go even higher. But this is different, okay? So we say that we call this from the whole Bayashini was built, and they had to start. They had a Chanukah Sabayis then also, right? When they inaugurated, like it's brought down a sefer Nechemia. Like now in Solia, and the people that remember Pius Rishon, everyone was crying. Everyone for no reason. Right? There was the Chanukah Sabayis. But the Chanukah Sabayis of the Chashmonaim is something else. Now, Rambam writes something that it sounds good on paper, it sounds poetic, right? But it doesn't really exist that. It's a Tankumen Shal Hevel, to paraphrase the Gemara Kislev, right? It says so. When he describes the nace of Hanukkah, which by the way he doesn't do with any other Chag. No other Chag. He doesn't describe. Doesn't what happened with Pesach. Doesn't describe what happened with Purim. Hanukkah, he does describe. Why?
You mean the Rambam?
Why? What's he doing? He tells you history, crash course history.
When you say where he
Get Persimmon about hormones.
Right.
The whole taking of the mitzvah of Hanukkah is persimmons.
Yeah, you're ridiculous.
who are you discussing?
There's a very simple.
Why start to say b'meich
Yeah, that's right. He opens up the
like every single
first of all, Hanukkah, which is paradigm most of the whole first halacha is a long the story in short. He doesn't do that by Purim, not by Purim, not by Pesach, not by Bingo.
What?
What's the answer?
Bingo. Bang.
What do you say?
Because
Where else are you supposed to know the story of Hanukkah from?
the Rambam says in his Hakdama, you have to learn my book with Tanakh.
Oh yeah, no other sefer.
And right, but there's but Esther Sophanisim, she didn't really cuss it. Hanukkah's a ganze Chag of just Torah Shabbat Peh. So we're supposed to go from. So Ram put it in Mishnah Torah, which is the new manifestation of Torah Shabbat. Right? There you go.
Makes sense. But
I thought you're supposed to learn Tanakh, what the Mishnah Torah says.
it's Mishnah Maamar.
That's what he said.
Why did all the other Chiburim follow and do that? Like almost every sefer in halacha that starts with the Hanukkah. There's copies.
Yeah,
They did a chop while I was actually doing it. They just copied.
I don't know. That's part because there's a book to know the whole Torah Shabbat and Hanukkah is a nation of Torah Shabbat. There's no Torah Shabbat. Hanukkah.
That's probably a very good answer. That's a very good answer. What do you do with the rest of the Goddess and Muslims of Shas that don't show up in the Yad HaChazaka?
What's the halachas about those? This is a story that it has the halachas.
There's many stories. There's many Torah, much Torah in Shas. It's not halach.
Right. So
It's hard to know what the Rambam means.
any davar musar or amida and mechona either comes out of your consciousness.
He says he holds he quoted it all in there.
That's what it says.
Well, look at the last fucking of silence. I didn't even say that.
I'm not saying that. He says he didn't have to open up a Gemara again. It's hard to.
No, you don't
No, he
have
doesn't say that.
He does.
That's
My favorite enough. That's it.
to know Torah about that.
No Torah about that. So meaning my favorite.
Yeah, but you don't know.
Well, you missed, that's what we're saying. There's a difference between Mishnah and Talmud.
Right.
Talmud is not Torah about that.
No, the Talmud is the puke. If Torah about that means of being a book in some way, that's mission. But there it has its own puke, why it's mukrak and where it came from, Yunani million, and why is it mukrak? Yeah, that's a puke. Right. Yeah, guys, it's because you don't have an Igros Haran guide in Europe. You don't have that Igros of pickles at that, it just spells it all out.
There's a Rambam. You have one, not the one he's talking about.
It's a two-volume set.
Yeah, but it didn't have the one he's looking for. Not all.
Now you get the Shivas, right? Shivas. Anyway, you have the Shivas. So, it's more of a
He's
yeshiva.
got to give us a list of what we need.
I have it. No,
We have a lot of you guys farm.
maybe okay.
The
Anyways,
other ones.
all right. So I just wanted to discuss that. So that's what he says over there. That halacha. We want a little bit of attention on that halacha is b'chazra malchus. So yes, on the side shana. Well, he got the malchus again there for more than 200 years. So first of all, no big Kiddush. They had already had it for 200 years. This happened in the middle of Bayis Sheni, which lasted for 50 years. So they already had the malchus 200 years. They had a little lull over there. They got it for another 200 years. And how long are we in Golos? More than 10 times that amount. What did they do? Well, the malchus is really yes, on the side shot. It's part of the simcha of Hanukkah. Right? But you understand the Hevdel Mahuti between Hanukkah's Bayis Sheni that was done in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah, which of course happened to be called the Mesa Purim, of where it says La Yehudim Haisa Oira, right? So La Yehudim Haisa Oira, right? And Chagal Garshin Oira Zut Oira. So what does it sound like? Like the pasuk Ki Ner Mitzvah Torah Or, right? And they re-accepted the Torah again, right? But Oira means a state of means if that's where there's a general state of light, like daytime. But also Ki Ner Mitzvah the Torah. But interesting enough, there's a lot to learn from the Maamar and from the names of Spartan. The Sefer on Purim is called Or Chadash. The Sefer on Hanukkah is called Ner Mitzvah.
Oh, very good.
Right?
The
Maamar. Right?
That's great.
Right. Because, Purim is like wake up. They were Yashim, then they woke up again. It's like going from night to day. And the end of Purim is that even though they were in Golos, in a hidden way, Am Yisrael was having Geula within the Golos. They were, even though Golos is called Choshech, they had right? Right. It's still called Ora and not Or, Lashon Nekeva, because of course it was Mitzidam, inside their children, inside the Susa Dolatata, inside the Midah of Malchus, right? Kayadua, right? They went, bottom up, and that's just so that Purim is like the Chag of Lasim level, all the bodies sitting in Malchus with Purim. It was not the Chag of that time, which is Kulo Or. Purim is the shot that even within Golos, even though it was internally, right? They were in a state of lust and love. For that time. It was not going to be Choshech law, much, right? But with a Ner, no, a Ner doesn't convert night into day. It's night is still night. Just or a Ner, you could navigate in the dark, right? Shraga b'tiara mayahanya. Right? But a Ner is because it's still dark, right? But you can navigate despite the darkness. Yeah? And these are the two bechinas of the Levana, right? The Levana originally was, Shnei Mar Santali, right? It was as big as the sun, and Lasi Level again, right? All Levana Kark, right? But then we brought somebody made it small, right? Right?
There's not gonna be nighttime at all?
Was a level of Lila Yomi says. What does that mean? You won't have a problem falling asleep.
Oh, no, I don't like nighttime.
Who's
Plan moves to place with only 1 hour of
Yeah,
nighttime.
whatever. He's even concerned, right? But he's not concerned. Okay.
Mhm. I'm very puzzled when they change the time and make so many hours of darkness.
I'm saying nothing's gonna change though.
Amen.
Yeah, most of them shit.
Mm.
Most of them shit. Right.
Also,
What? Yes. Correct. Right, correct.
Is it true that Ramesh Shapiro said it's impossible that there's more focus in these things?
No, of course, he didn't say any such.
Like
He
that
never said any such.
That what?
But we try to minimize the machlokes and get exactly what, but no, there's no. Of course not, it's Elvil applies to all levels of time. And all levels of time.
Maamar,
I heard that Nafka said that what's going to happen when Mashiach comes. It can't be that there's like.
Right. Elevator.
Elevator applies to all levels, meaning in the Mitzias.
How can there be elevator on the sales?
Oh,
man,
there is. There's
Right now,
Is it Eleville?
not on the Mitzias.
And then you give them milk that they both
Why doesn't the real like time say pilpul that doesn't need to exist?
It's a very good point. I thought about it.
The academia could be solid and it exists in the world of possibilities.
Meaning it does exist in a certain valve, in a certain life.
Right, like think about it. Is in the sea, it's the sales of aliens. There's about one shit. Did he find? Why was he? Why did he get angry? Did he find a flyer? Did he find a hair? Did he find a hair? So the story is that first he found a fly and he wasn't makbid. Then he found a hair and he was makbid.
Oh man.
I don't know. He says it. Getting yeah.
But I mean, you can learn this way, you can learn that way, and they're both academically true. I mean, it exists in the realm of possibility. Right now, the realm of possibility means it could have.
I once heard from the Chama label was giving classes to teachers in Israel. So the issue of they came up, so she said it can't be that they both happened. How do you know? Because the Machlokes when Yaakov met up with Yosef for the first time after all those years. So there's Machlokes we shown whether it says that he that's how we know who cried. So one Rishon says it was Yaakov cried, and the other one says no, it was Yosef that cried. So she said it can't be both. Why? Can't be both because it was said by Yikuk in plural.
Vaidishaslar.
Did Moshe run away because he go with finish the problem?
Minari?
No, not he.
No.
He's out. No, he didn't bring it. I'm going to talk about Moshe.
No, I don't know where it was from.
He took the bottle with him.
It's right here.
I think
it was great.
It's very shallow. Because I thought about this like in the Chagig, you have like Elu Matir, Elu Matam, right? Elu Matir, Elu Asur. So they're both Torah wives, Rashi explains because they both you give them midas, Shatar and Joshua. But if you use, like he's saying, the recipe that God gave you, right? You put in every ingredient. How is it possible not to come to heavens? I used everything you told me to do.
Because the kalim you're using are different.
But the kalim I'm using is godly kalim.
No, but you're filtering it through your mind. You're filtering it through your brain. And your brain works differently. So the way Hashem works, Hashem makes it that your brain is one size measuring cup. And he said the measuring cup of this, for you and for this guy is different. So for one thing, this will override that. For another guy, that will override this. And we really have two different opinions.
Depends on the things. Right, you might say, how do you do work? Now, you discuss this. I say, work that with number. X squared is equal to 4. What's X?
Like it's
2 or negative 2.
What? X squared is equal to 4. What's X?
2 or negative 2.
2 or negative 2. How can they both be wrong?
nah.
They both solve the equation. Except that 2 is practical, negative 2 is a theory. That's irrelevant.
Oh, just about this.
But Allah is only going to be one way. The more practical one is going to be Allah. The one is going to remember the theory. They're both exist.
You're about to
And that's why Allah could eventually change to be that way. It's possible, maybe not. That's also how we also reconcile the idea and the fear. there's two different types of idea. The partial idea is private knowledge that knows exactly what you're going to choose. That it keeps to itself, and that's part of the soda symbol. Okay, so with some symbols is private knowledge. That not about infinite knowledge, but there's a certain idea that's called destiny. I was writing this college and we still have Mesiba. Same thing. The idea that penetrates the Bria, that charts destiny is x squared is equal to 4, Mesiba is 2 or negative 2. You have free will to choose different options. Everything solves the equation. Not going to be well destiny. But if you choose 2, you'll get stuck. Choose negative 2, Mashiach will still come, but you won't be there. Right?
Basically, no matter what you choose, Hashem can still do whatever you plan on doing.
That's right. You can't derail destiny, but you do have free will. But if you choose one option, you get paid. You get one, you get punished. But destiny will happen no matter what.
Destiny will happen or not because the Abishab said, "Oh, I decided I can't be contradicted," because it's MS. No matter what happens, it took a proper there.
Everything
From negative 2, you can get the square root.
function gives you everything, including your options.
Right.
It gives you your options also.
What does that mean?
You're not saying that the village will force them because I
You
said.
can't choose something that's
It's
going to derail the world from
my
Mashiach.
side, it's MS.
Oh,
Yeah, just if
Very
you.
nice time.
Well, nice
That's
attempts.
beautiful.
Thanks so much for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
And you're gonna come back again. You come back in and put you in a bed. Put you in a bed a week from Sunday. And you're gonna be in it that weekend. Next week.
Any option you pass, you go down, it has to be enough, and then
I'll be able to see if I can. Thank you very much. Mazel tov.
All the paths that you would have to go down, going up.
In the same place.
Yeah, so I really have free will, but you can only choose from the paths that they exist.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, only if you're
But if you choose this one, you get paid. You choose that one, you get punished. But both roads lead to where the emotion wants it to go.
yeah, fine,
You
yeah,
can't
yeah.
outsmart it. You can't, any option that's a realistic option, if it's that you really could be boycott, is he gave you that option.
Right.
You just have the choice between the options. Choose this one, get paid. Choose that one, you get punished. Right? both are nechwal in the code of destiny. And that's really that little bit.
Almost impossible to understand.
Right.
I mean, it's MS obviously it's almost impossible to understand.
Right.
Because once Sheen of this world changes everything.
No, look
Being
at
here
this.
today is going to change
So
our
Meshi,
entire future. If I was
Meshi.
here today, I will never be able to tell my kids the story that I was here, and they wouldn't have gone to their friend during recess.
If Hitler
Meshi.
decided not to kill the entire world,
you know what the Goldberg machine is?
Well,
You know what the Goldberg machine is?
Yeah. That's the worst thing. I shouldn't have
It's one of the
Once it happens, you know that I
giant
shouldn't have
things
that,
in
and
the
those
middle,
people do. So
where this stuff and that, and the part of the racetrack hits the dominoes and the dominoes in the balloon, right?
Yeah.
And so the idea is that Hashem says basically a giant Rube Goldberg machine with
I
multiple
have,
crafts.
and I believe God could do anything, but there's a butterfly effect, so it's very difficult. Basically, you have to be God to be able to
except for
do
Rumpel's
Right.
It's free.
Not even, that's not,
I'm not even sure about that.
yeah, I'm not either. I can find
I
anything
used to
out.
be a lot more sure about it.
I'm
I'm
very
sure
sure.
that you could.
We see the best
I used to be a lot more sure about it when I was your age.
We're not
Oh,
arguing.
but whatever, it's not so possible.
Was there real?
Can the 1 plus 1?
1 plus 1 equal 3?
Or what does that even statement mean?
Can God make this not equal 2 bottles of beer, but not cheap? Meaning not create a
Not
third
through
bottle.
magic,
Not through
through
magic.
logic.
Can he in our world create this as not 2 bottles of beer? It's not a limitation to say that this is only going to only ever be 2 bottles.
Just
It's not a
2 means 2.
limitation that God can't make this 3 because it's not can make. It's just that 2
It's
is
2.
2.
I invite you to read something or something.
Right.
It's probably right.
You're just not talking stupid. That Sadi Bone says this already. Yeah,
Now what?
because if you want to talk about, I want a square circle. I want a square.
Exactly.
There's no such thing. as a
Exactly.
square
That's
circle. You're
exactly.
talking utter nonsense.
That's what I say.
Square circle is the same, like say
Wall. Exactly. This is what I
Square
say.
is not a circle, a
This
circle
is
is
what
not
I
a
say
circle.
all day.
Real words to talk
Exactly.
utter nonsense.
Exactly.
And it's not a concerning God if we can't create
Exactly.
something that's too stupid to exist.
Exactly. It's exactly what I'm saying.
But that's not the same as a square being circle. The second is square,
It's like
it's not
saying,
square.
it's like saying wall, table, chair.
What? Harnano Minamida?
Oh.
You just learned it yourself.
He
I thought of it a long time ago.
thought
Oh,
that.
yeah, but people thought of it hundreds of years.
It's even better. If no one thought of it, I would think I was wrong. People thought of it.
Yeah.
So what's that?
Read the menorah.
Why is that? Because
Whether it's
They're not the same.
Because
Why?
that's an illusion.
Over there, you can make an illusion. You can make
why
a
is it
miracle.
no?
It's an illusion.
No, that,
The Gemara says it didn't take up space, and you're saying it's an illusion.
It's magic.
That's not me. So yeah.
No, it's not an
We
illusion.
don't know the answer to this, right? Yeah, Durham says don't know the answer, but it's in one of the book called Gimel Paraklah. Take a look at that. Where the Rambam had said, "Oh, sure, yeah, God can't make a square circle because it's just too stupid. You're just talking stupidity.
The second God makes
You're
a square, it's not a square.
stupidity.
Other not.
Right?
You don't hear that?
You're just talking utter nonsense. So it's not concerning God. You're just saying stupid.
Exactly.
You're saying
Because
stupid.
the Swarm
No, so then he says like this, but then he says in that parak, but also Aristotle said that about Bria Yishmael. It says that, right? And we don't know in our limited minds what's an absolute absurdity and what's not absolute absurdity. We just don't know. We don't know.
We're too limited.
But
We are
Nothing wrong.
So there might be things that we think Lefiel Tfisa are absurd. There's nothing wrong with it. It could happen. I mean, you may have to bend the laws of physics, but it could exist in alternate reality. But we don't know what's absolutely absurd and what isn't.
so what is the what? So why
I
would
said
we
we don't
ever
know.
decide that 2 equals 3 is well?
Saying maybe
We
it's
don't
absurd.
decide.
Maybe that's not
Maybe our
absurd.
brains are absurd and we can't cop that 1 plus 1
One
also
thing,
equals
bro,
3.
this one you say that Kodesh Baruch Hu is nice, yeah, fuck.
No, it doesn't make sense. It'll feed the story
Well,
saying that. It's just,
Right,
So then why can Hashem have a square circle?
but then what does that mean?
Good, Hashem is nice.
Then it's not a
No,
square,
no,
it's
what are you
a
asking?
circle.
Because Hashem contains
Then it's not a
paradox.
square,
When
it's
you're
not a
talking about
circle.
paradox, and they describe Hashem as nice, Hashem can contain a
You're
paradox.
right. You're making a good point. But when you ask, can Hashem make a square circle? Do you know what you're asking?
Doesn't matter.
1 plus 1 is 3. I got what I'm asking. No, but you didn't even know what to imagine.
Doesn't matter.
No,
Maybe
it's
it
the
could, but
same thing. He's saying it would.
But also, doesn't the Rashi and True Tafid test say that against the Ikrim that says it's talking stupidity? He says no, really Hashem could do it because Hashem is nimna and nice.
I'm going to derive it also.
The question is that
Obviously, I
Right.
didn't think it was so stupid.
no, but here's the question. Yeah, the question is no, they're saying that it's nimna by the laws of physics that we know, but through different physics. But then they could be saying that's absolutely absurd that no laws of physics could ever sustain such a thing. And we don't know the answer to that.
Well, how could there be? If you hold the Ishmael, that means first there was Ayin, there was no rules at all.
No rules, I'm saying.
Okay, so there's no rules at all.
Yeah,
What?
but could
What?
you could be saying it's utterly so stupid, even an infinite possibilities still can exist.
That's hard to understand.
What does that mean? What does that
Infinite
mean?
means infinite, so that shouldn't be possible.
So no, 1 second, no, not true. Because you can have an infinite set of numbers that don't contain any digits except for 1. You can have 1,
Then it's
and
not infinite.
1.1,
It's weird.
and 1.111, and 1.11111, and that can go on to infinity. But
So it's not that's an infinite. It's a wrong word. Infinite means
why?
there's
It's an
false
infinite set of
combinations.
numbers. It's an infinite
Yeah,
set
Those
of
are
numbers.
Hashem
is not that type of infinity.
It's infinite meaning in all angles, not just in one way. He's not just infinite one or one. He's infinite this way, that way, this way, and that way. He's an actual infinite.
Yeah. The answer we really don't know.
Yes, for the Hasid.
So listen, the Maras. Yeah, you have to understand the chorus. Yes. Yes, so it's like to be black and white at the same time. And it says like this: it's black mitzad tzeva, and it's white mitzad anes.
Right.
And so
Well,
it's
it
not
says
square anymore
anes.
because they're different
Correct.
dimensions.
We're saying
Well,
without
that-
it
So
is.
the blackness and the
Without it is, I
whiteness
don't think
are
so.
not in
Avada.
really
It's not a stereo.
mitzad different dimensions. You know.
And Hashem saturates all the dimensions. So Hashem is
Fine.
So
In our dimension.
So Maral gives a makom to say why something could be a double before, and it's possible because
That's
it's
why I
multi-dimensional.
That's why I
So this
premised.
will be mitzvah ten, but this will be how it is mitzvah.
That's why I premised without an ace. Without an ace, it's just a
No,
stupid
you
question.
I mean, if a
You know
cup
that-
can't hold water,
that
there's
is
a hole
possible.
bottom of this cup. Is it a cup? Stamzo, if I have a hole in it, just because it looks, it's not a cup if it can't hold water, right?
Right.
So could Hashem, if I put a hole in it, could Hashem make it, this is a cup? Or the water spilling out, it's not a cup.
It's the same thing. Another example.
Meaning, what will he do? Magically
But
hold
you-
it in? But
but
then he's
you
using
really
it.
have to
It's
go
not can do. Why are
But
you
she-
saying it as a
We have
can
to.
do
It's 11
question?
o'clock.
A black
We
pen
have to go.
isn't a blue pen. It just
Or
isn't.
you're confined safe.
There's subs.
No.
Okay, guys, we let the ref finish this here.
Yeah.
Let the ref finish.
We're deviating a lot from the topic, but actually, there's this issue. It's a complicated issue, but when you boil it down to the actual arguments that different studies say, it's not such a big focus. The question is there such a thing as an absolute absurdity that even in infinite possibilities, of different laws such a thing cannot exist, right? Because it's just that stupid, right? Yeah.
But it's also
Yeah,
a fairly
yeah.
linguistic issue.
No, I've heard things from the Democrat politicians that are absolutely stupid and non-existent whatsoever. Yeah. No,
It's crazy. Yeah.
No, I mean, it's that's the question. That's the question. Could be something absolutely stupid.
I mean, it's absolute.
So perfectly stupid. So perfectly stupid, right? That even in infinite different, there's just no such thing, even in infinite different rules. That's
I mean,
the question.
it's minus
The
absolute.
Rollins might that parrot that we really don't know. What's absurd to be absolutely versus what's really absurd.
Yeah,
But there's no concern if I'm going with myself and saying we both can't make a square circle. Because I don't know, prove me that again, prove me that it could exist somewhere else. Maybe there's no concern in going with our seichel and saying things that are innate absurdities he can't do. It's not a chisar, it's not a
But it's not a can.
it's
There's
not a
nothing to
pia
do.
bodis because it's a chisar in the thing that it's too stupid to exist, To say, no, it's too stupid to exist here, but you say, oh, okay, that's not my focus.
Yeah.
That's not my focus. But Bria Yeshmaim, we had a chiyuv to argue on Aristotle, explain how it's possible because we have to believe in Nisan, et cetera. So we had a hechrach, so we had to come on to Gludian and Bria Yeshmaim and reject Aristotle's claims that it's absurd. Right?
Yeah, but there are stuff that exist that are absolutely absurd and they somehow exist. Bechir is impossible to exist and not exist. To ride to him.
Yeah, if we wanted to insist on a mechanical universe, there's no hechrach for a mechanical universe.
It's not possible to logically understand Bechir.
No, but it just doesn't fit neatly into the idea of a
Right, so it's absurd. It's 1 plus 1 is 3.
Cause and effect.
Right, so it's 1 plus 1 is 3. It doesn't make sense.
Why? But from the Mesiba to the Codesh, how could there be something ever against the Zerton?
It's not against
Yeah.
the
Yeah, but that's
Okay, so why is it not there?
No.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but so he says correct. Ram says that it's Tosha Watson that you should have Rav Watson and you'll pay for it. And he says,
We say that Hashem doesn't want you to do it.
no, he commands you.
But
He
he tells you not to do it, but it doesn't mean he doesn't want you to do it.
But right, it happens. How did it happen?
He allowed.
Okay, so now what are we saying?
And then we said, because it's part of the x squared is equal to 4, it's the -2. It exists. Possibility is real. Just
Obviously, it's against
the
The Absurd comes with Kas and all these Lashonis. What does that mean?
Except that you're playing the game. You're playing something over here. Then as in Rutzen means the same thing all over. There's Rutzen as in seedling, there's Rutzen as is willing of existence. Right?
Yeah.
And we've got from the Soivo, the Shai, it's Soivo. And that's also called a song. Soivo there exists, otherwise it would cease to exist immediately. When the stock is Rutzen for their existence. You make a story where Chaim Sabah a story said Chaim once gave a shear, 2 different types of Kislev ramen. So that's Kislev ramen. So some guy asked you, but it's the same word. Maybe 2 different types of Kislev ramen. It's all the same word. So Chaim said, if you steal a brick and you pulverize it, right? You're clean it because Panim Chadosh is Bolka. You now take the brick. The brick does to a Sheva blocks.
That's a good one. We're not leaving. We're just going there for a moment.
What?
We're going to the other cheder.
Okay.
You might
You gotta have that stuff.
Why should we assume that when Hashem tells you not to do something, it means he doesn't want it?
No, it doesn't want that. Such you went against his seed wood, but you didn't go against it. So in the absolute sense, that happened. If he wasn't brought to it, never happened. That doesn't mean that he wants you to do the Aver. I mean, it's a possibility. It's just that he tells you don't take it. That's what it means. I mean, really, you're really hitting this word that they Chazak. That's in Rashi. In Parshas Nitzavim. That really makes no sense, but now you're actually making it sound sensical. Right, the Rosh says Ubacharta B'chai. And Rashi the big has the Rashi brings Ata Tomech Go Roli, then Mamish you can take this one. No, there's a certain level of Rotzen, but there's a choice. And Rabbi Rosh says, but the other one. Both are possible. The other one, right?
So
And I'm telling you, that's right. No, he facilitates, and Sipo Masik, so he can Sipo Maser shut. Right? And but he says, that I don't know which one he wants. He says, or so I over days Bocher and Maser Tzadiv.
What was that? I mean,
Of course, because there's a Roxy that gives kingdom to both, but there's Mitzvah on this one. There's Roxy and there's Tzibur. We call them both for its own general sense, but they're not exactly the same thing.
so
He wants there to be choices. And if you choose Rach, you'll pay for it. You'll pay for it. But his Roxy will be done because you can be sure, as we said before, you're not going to derail the world from heading to Mashiach, heading to Tchias HaMesa. You can't outsmart God. You can't you can only choose from the options that you use. Right? So that doesn't mean that the Ra is Tov Chasson. The Ra is Ra. The Ra is Ra. And Rabbi Rosh is soivel it because he wants to give you the theories, and he won't be outdone by that. He won't suffer. He's unhappy, but he won't suffer for it. He'll get Mashiach. He'll get Tchias HaMesa. The difference will be you won't be there. He'll get it through your Bechira L'Ra, but you won't be there. See, that's what they get wrong in the trans-Hasidic movement, right? I call it trans-Hasidic because if these guys are from the Hebraic Hanisha of the Baal Shem Tov, then I'm a woman, okay? Right.
This is why.
So Ra is not Tov, Chas v'Shalom. The Rosh's Ratzon happens no matter what, but that doesn't make the Ra Tov.
Right.
Tov and Ra are two different things. You do this one, you go to heaven. You go to do this one, you go to hell, right? Like just the Rebosham's Ratzon is always done. Just if you do it this way, you'll benefit. You do it that way, you'll suffer, right?
You said that's always the thing. It's not sick as furious.
Yes,
Because you're
you're Megala. Because since you were negating your Bechira L'Ra through Tshuva, because that's your Oker and Bechira L'Ra. So now you're just left with the fact that was Eichut son.
Right.
Because you're Oker and your Bechira L'Ra.
So that's your Tzaddik said that the Oker of Tshuva to Makir. That there's a thing that's also Ratzon Hashem. That's what it means.
Yeah, but what it means after your Messiah, your Ratzon, because you wanted it for the wrong reason. All right, everything's good.
Yeah, no, we couldn't find the shots anywhere.
The Shas, because it's in these covers. Yeah, I'm gonna get bookshelves that also. Someone just donated another set of Shas book.
Where's the Bible? Where's the Babylonian?
And just keep them.
Avatar Kula Hayab Evan Chisia. You give a look here.
So okay. We're getting back to Nesach Hanukkah, Hiluch Osamach Bishing. So you got the Osamach, is so what the Maamar says, why is there no nun in Ashrei? Because there's Nefila, right? But Alpha P came, some come dog them are so mech Hashem. Right?
What?
I can't work on these conditions,
Yeah. You know what? It's okay. I'll do he committed to me an hour ago, so I'll try to show him one.
Now you're making more after this, so yeah.
I didn't hook my wife.
What?
I didn't hook my wife.
Later.
Not sure for you. No. It tells you what learning.
She knows what. She gives so much permission. The baby is safe with 4 other kids to deal with.
Well, sure. Came here once.
I'm 17, but I gotta help her.
So go.
I got to listen to nobody different than I told her I do while I'm out.
Okay.
One more.
So they did back. You only have one chest?
Yeah. I mean, there's no shots in boxes. You want to pop in the boxes over here? There's a shots in there. Someone just donated the shots.
Oh, which one?
I haven't opened the box yet. I just saw that someone's giving away. Okay, listen.
Either you leave or you stay.
I want.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, but so here's the what happened on Hanukkah, right? The unique mazel of Kislev that ushers in Hanukkah. That's an amazing thing. Every single Chag, except for 2. Hanukkah Shavuos. It's Siyara Bishos. It's in the middle of the month when the moon is full. Always. That's Sukkot. Correct. So it's in your doubts as well. When the moon is full, Because the moon is shining bright, and the aim lost and love, all of that, right? And so now Bishlam Shul, that's right. So even though the moon is not full yet, but it's getting bigger. It's but it's going to get bigger, right? So it's not as big of a kasha, right? But Hanukkah going down, coming down. So and it's going to get less and less. But that's right.
It starts getting back up again.
Eventually.
So, right. So now the Psikta, Psikta, and then Mishnah brings it that in the midbar they had finished all the clay on Mishkan by Chafei Kislev. But the Rosh wanted to be Doiche Hakamas Mishkan to Nisan. For the later Yitzchak, the later the other was taken up. Was it Nisan? That's because Nisan's Chagagul, things go into actuality. See, it's trying again. The next year was Hakamas Mishkan. Things go into actuality. The difference for Nisan, right? But it's amazing. So they had to pay back Chafei and Kislev when they had everything. They had all the kalim, right? But they just were mechusar, the hakama, right? So they should have had the Chanukah then. It was pushed off to the Nisan, right? So there's an amazing thing here that Am Yisrael's koach is when we're mourning the Ravana, and Sira Bishlamuz is when we have our full koach. And Chanukah's dafka, when our koach is seemingly down and waning, right? But the word is that the koach of Netzach Chanukah, with the difference of the Chanukah Sechashmonah versus the Chanukah of Ezra and Nehemiah. That Chanukah Ezra is when we got out of Golus into Gula. Right now we went from Shrin to Begalusa, now the Shrin is in the box, right? Major Torah, now Fela, look, right? This is different. This is about Himlich Osamach Bishim, right? Having a smicha, right? So then the son of Bruchos, the nature is on it, right? Right? But to give us support in the field. It's still chosh. Give us a candle. To give us a candle, right? It's not Lila becomes or. It's a chosh goes on. It's because within the choshech, within the chosh. That's why the nace was beneus, and the ikar mitzvah is balila, not by, right? There's balila, right? And it's mishitishka how much actually regal b'shuk. Right, you have to, that could be mailed out to the marketplace where everyone forgets about where you bought from. Right? It's exactly what? Exactly. Yes, right. All these things, right? Go where there was a nefila, there's Dafka in the Shena. Not the Hisurus that comes after Shena, right? In the Shena to give support, right? So, what does the word chinuch mean as opposed to limud? Right? So Rashi, right? So Rashi on Ashlecha, Rebbe's Chanichot says, Chilas Adam, only Shor Silamibla, it's called chinuch, and also the Mizmor Shir Chanukah Savais. Kind of like Chanukah Savais. So the Sfas explains, there's also the Chol Satomir is big on Danya, says, but Sfas is the one who says it's short and sharp. Chinuch is to put the ore into kli. Absorption. That's why you can't cast those because they absorbed it, they internalized it. Right? The day of Chazar Machzor Yesar Ma'ashaim Shana, this second Masayim Shana, not like the first Masayim Shana of that was by shape. This Masayim Shana is to absorb the need of Malchus in preparation for the Kodesh. In preparation for the Kodesh is for the door. Right? This Chanukah of the Chashmonayim is to internalize the light in preparation for the long Kodesh. Right?
That's why it had to be in the dark. The first 200 years weren't counted because that came in the light that doesn't prepare you for absorbing in the dark.
That's right. This is not going from Kodesh to Google. They had the Yerida and the comeback. The comeback didn't save them. They still had to deal with them for a few years, and then they had civil wars. It was a horrible 200 years. It was a big deal. It was a horrible 200 years. Those 200 years. They had civil wars, and that's when they brought in the Romans to try to settle everything, and then that whole thing backfired. Then the Romans were there. That's what we're doing now. The same mistake with Gaza. We're getting the international. It's a big, big, big mistake. I spoke about this little Shana Rabbi. I sent out a video. It's a big mistake. You know,
They didn't even figure that out. So
it is a big mistake. To bring the gun in there to administer and be in charge of our peace. It is actually history is repeating itself. Right, but it's not because it's absorbing light. In the Osama Bashemda, right, is that the Indian of absorbing the ore that should be there for us during the Choshen. Because Hanukkah is the last nation until Mashiach comes. It's Sofa Nisan. And Sofa Nisan, it's Loni Tamli Kosek. There's no Nevuah, right? It's Mamish and Nes Pamish in the Tukar Magos that there's no Nevuah anymore. So it's the Kulam Torah Shabbat Pet. Right? So it's Mamish that the wonderful goals of being B'Shema. The whole goals is called Shema. Right? Right? The whole goals is called to be asleep. And Hanukkah is there, right, to bring ore into the Choshech, not to convert the Choshech to ore. That's Purim. Purim converting the Choshech into ore. The Yom Tovim de Raisa, they convert the Choshech into ore. Right, this is like the Yom Tov of keeping the ore within the Choshech. Samach b'Shem. And
Sarah teaches us a mile over the time that. Now we know that the Chilshik can also be a cleave for the art.
exactly.
You don't need art for art. You can have art in the patient too.
Yeah. So very good. So of course the light that shines in the darkness, that's the Oregonus. There's the REC. Right, that's the then there's the Oregonus or the Yotsu. And so Hanukkah is really in a certain way tapping into the Oregonus. Not with it still being Gonus, you tap in. It's not you're still in darkness. You have a candle. You have a So it's an amazing thing. Right? The Oregonus was shined for 36 hours. That's all it tells us. Automations, meaning automations mishtamish in the Oregonus for 36 hours. It was never roughly Chatzonis time. He wasn't from the very beginning, but it's Friday day, right? It was never in course of Friday, but Friday day, and then Shabbos, right? Because even though it was colder before Shabbos came in, but he never saw darkness until it's night, so he had to invent fire. Right? So he was in Shach Aragonis 36 hours.
Right, so 36 minutes.
36 hours, right? And then darkness came, right? Like you said correctly, it was 36 minutes that we like. Right. 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 + 5 + 6 + 7 + 8, 36. And the Hanukkah's managed to tap into the hidden light. Right. That's something that when you're in darkness, you have to draw a lifeline from a very, very high source as a countermeasure. So it won't be Batgalia, but Benister, you have to have support, a very strong anchor. And it's, of course, that's the sign. That the Zohar was Dafka this Galilee during Basroim. After the later Dars should have the Zohar in terms of the Ari and all that. And then sometimes you need a much bigger light to counteract the big Choshen. So even if your environments are still bad and darkness, you are connecting to a very powerful light source. And Hanukkah is to internalize the light that shines within Choshen, not the light that emits Choshen. That's for it's the light that's within the Choshen, right? So Allah deity, that's the word Kislev means. Kis Lamed Vav has a pocket to hold the Lamed Vav shows, the Lamed Vav nails of the Oregonus, right? That's what the Chanukah of the Chashmonai is, to put the ore in kalim in preparation for going into Golos. Those 200 years, as much as externally, you'll see it was hard. It was a hard 20. The first 20 years were better. Right? 10 years were terrible, right? And there's civil wars, gang wars, and it still actually started beforehand, but it got worse. It was really Shrek, right? but these 200 years is when they developed Torah Shabbat Peh, right? The oral Torah Shabbat Peh, which is the Torah you learn at night. Okay, you learn Mikra in the day, by night.
Now we learn.
The marriage Tanfuma. That's
But now we learn every.
It's a different husband.
Oh, yeah. But now we
that's
learn
how
all.
I do. He was in Shemaim 40 days. Why do you know? It's he counted how many times he alternated Torah Shabbat Peh.
But now we learn all the
It's
Torah
like-
Shabbat Peh in the day.
Yeah, God, it does just so much, but no, but I'm just saying that the time of Mikra is fine, it's hard, really. That's, because of this chazal, that.
We
So,
should-
do you ever see, the Chanukah Savais of the Chidah, where you still say about Chanukah Savais? It's like a bar. Every time it says bias anywhere, except only in Torah Shabbat Peh. He writes an Akdama, and it's a book, like you said, but it's hard enough to say, just divide it up. You take these 10 they just cut it up. They cut up.
Right.
It's just every time it says bias anywhere in Torah Shabbat Peh,
Wow.
including Rambam. Right?
Wow.
Right? Bias, the word bias, right?
And then bring.
So he says, I don't know why it's a lot of psukim that have the word bias, and I don't bring any. He says in Akdama, because you can't, because I see that most people do a Chanukah bias at night after they're done with work. You can't learn Mikra at night. That's why I limit it all to just the word bias everywhere you find in Torah Shabbat. It's still wrong.
Wow.
If you're a big one, they just divide up. You take these.
Sorry, that's what I started. Coming to the
Yes, that's all night. No, but it's a lot of good food also.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. You got paid off. But that's even samach b'shela to give the smicha in the shela. And of course, the wake up that'll be the wake up from this sleep is going to be Mashiach Mamish. Mashiach Mamish.
Right.
This is the preparation for the long sleep. The long sleep until Mashiach Tzidkenu and Aaron Yameinu. This is what it is, and this is what this month is about. Right, and of course, in this smicha within the choshech, where there's going to be a lot of interaction with goyim. So locally, so levenos alkeshi basra. Right, so I know, actually tichla regel mashuk is so Rosh says actually Maamar says actually tichla regel in the Talmudah. So Rosh says shame umah, as if there's pursuing Nisa for goyim. Why should be pursuing Nisa for goyim? Seemingly, right? But you're looking at more Yavamis, Tapir Dalet. Noshim B'Tzion Inu. That was the Talmud that they restriction. They make Jewish women, some Jewish women. So these Jewish women, there's the exercises of Christ on it. And from there to there, to the lowest place, well, to those neshamas that are shakur b'chosh, you said, Lamata Masar, Shema, and everything else, right? And you put more there, which is a little much called the deepest chaysha. You put more there, but you know what you get? You're making a chana that and also all the neshamas get out from you. You liberate all the neshamas that are captured there. And that's why the tziruf for this month, there's 12 tziruf in the Shem of Ak. So the tziruf is Vav, Yud, Hey, Hayotzar Pasuk, Vayar, Yokshe, Papar, and Sakana. That's the tziruf. That's Yotzar from that Pasuk. So what does that Pasuk say? So the Yoshua is seeing the Levaya of Yaakov. They're seeing. Like they see, like the Talmud see their Hanukkah. So what does Chazal say? What does Rashi break? They all just put their kesser on the arm.
Mm-hmm.
So Marsh surrounded by Goyim, and the aura is going lachutz to the Goyim from surrender the crown. You get all the nitzaisis out from it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So your Marsh in the deepest kosher, when you're making that chon of collecting and collecting and collecting. When the Gula comes to schlep all those lost souls, all those lost inserts, all those lost neshamas, they all come back. And there we are made of Khan.
So what do you do with Lisa? What was this? How do you get the organ with Lisa?
See, that's what the Aura Khan is.
Let's say really
You want to be mayor, the Aura Khan is within the Chesha. That is the opponent. That's right. Like for that song, you should learn in front of your mayors, it's
What's the really feeling the aura of the ghosts? Like the O of the ghosts. Like how do you
It's the countermeasure, and that's why it leads into Kufas Tavis. When Tom was in Abar on the that's what takes and spot on. And it leads into that. It's Achana for that. So we clean in for that. The coldest months of it's Kufas Tavis. Right. So, that's not which its counterpart on the other side of this calendar is Kufas Tammuz.
Right.
You know, there's a time that the extremes belong to Sitra. The perfect balance belongs to Christ of Tishrei, Nisan. It's a marvelous, and that's what we saw. The balance, the balanced good times, you know, the weather's not trying to cold, the days are perfectly balanced. That belongs to Christ, right? The Goyim have the extremes. There's all Yishmael and Esav, you know. This went too much to the right in a bad way, this went too much to the left in a bad way. So is the Yosha. So we have Nisan and Tishrei. Yeah, and the Kufas that go with it. Because they have, you know, Kufas Tevis and they have Kufas Tammuz. Right, you know, and that's, you know, so that was different, but this that one that leads in Kufas, yeah. That's, and that's, you know, and Shmuz was also a Chana for Thomas and Alf, but ain't come Malcolm Lahara. Okay, anyone want anything more to eat? An hour he came back, right?
No, they're coming back.
No, just-
We didn't believe it.
We kept the Maamar going for 2 hours, right? And just as the Maamar ended, you're just allergic to learning.
That's what it
You
is.
are allergic to learning.
Food.
Yeah, it's allergic to learning. You left as soon as the Torah started. You came back as soon as the Torah started.
It's like
literally.
You're not looking at that.
It's like Esav and Yaakov, right?
We literally, by the way, the last words were just said. Last words. It wasn't a coincidence. Last words.
You're not in trouble, right?
Nope.
Put his foot down.
No.
He still at that. On her foot. During the kufa. Why do you know that? I should leave that in
Yeah. Okay.
there. For real.
No,
I think we're coming.
So what's
Yeah.
What do you think, Katzenmeyer? Thank you.
Scratch.
This was probably also one of them. A little bit.
Taking the coke, see if left.
Yeah.
She's such a clam.
Good work.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We got a line. You didn't.
Thank you.
as opposed to
What are
water?
the hard stuff? Yeah,
As opposed to hard stuff?
Yeah.
When
it starts, the hard stuff is going from the garden.
You don't see any hard stuff brought down in the Gemara.
Yeah, shake from the Gemara should be
Only ever Sheikha, yeah, and the Chumash, yeah, and Sheikha.
right. So you know, so there's a wine and beer.
they had them?
Schnapps yeah, schnapps makes you drunk. The wine and beer give you a glow.
That's
Okay, so there's
Now, also license is medical rights. That the iron is the Mesiba of all Bashkos.
yeah.
It's very healthy one.
You see that the Gemara says in a few different places, Psachim and Gemara and in Brachas, right? They used to drink wine. I'll leave with the Rekana to be healthy, right?
Yeah. No, wine's good for you.
It's coming to the Gemaras, yeah. The lave, the iron, the nine.
Thanks so much.
Yeah,
There's a difference between
Lots of trouble.
it's cold though. Tell me,
Marshall? Yeah, maybe.
not warm.
No one's here.
Huh?
Not good. I woke up there in the checks. No. Yeah. Okay, it's fine. I'm good. I'm some chicken wings. I made the chicken wings.
Yeah, we're good. I had something for the best.
Yeah, thank
we
you.
I want to hear what is the first time on lights if they want to. I was supposed to use this organs to make all this better. First thing.
Well, we were not tired. So that we have the Hanukkah, we have these times of year where you go through makes access easier locally into the Shabbat. kind of because of time, but he's very tapped in. He was no bypassing the movement of Torah. He would, the real thing is to throw not the garbage that would propagate, from starting with the Asharis and the even the compliment.
I mean, if you learn Azar and Kings, they're supposed to do it.
Yeah, but it's mechanic one. So it's says around there, telling them how hardcore, what they're learning. This one says wrong. These were the mistakes. They will take on that,
The color right, it's right to the Al's Hasidim, it's Pirish on Sefer Hasidim. And there's such stark takonos that if you're going to learn it and you're not going to keep it, you're messed over and you're like, it's kind of not or something like that.
Mhm.
Basically, right, it's like it's better that you stay away from Sefer altogether if you're not going to be extremely careful about it.
Part of it wasn't part of this thing that said it was going to be like sparse and scally, keep to the,
No, not the,
you know, if do some good on the like I'm learning it.
no. You didn't understand it. Like,
Just the family dialists like pen really hard things like
oh,
I
at least I think it's not or nothing. Yeah.
You're not talking about the halachical ones that the Shaf brings down that you're talking about?
no
The Jesus and the Iris and the Kiyos and
no he brings like a whole bunch of more like the kind of Ezra things like
So
that's basics. That's definitely more down a lot as far as if you're not going to at least be makbid on Tefillah Sandra, Zifra shouldn't be one of the Svarim English, right? That's how Shabsai speaking about, right? He used to learn Torah when he was Thomas Carey. Zifra.
Because this drop starts off hard. Person who engages in these things.
Right.
Need more as well.
Yeah.
Someone who's got more. With somebody who was Isaac. So it's not. That's why we need the sense of time. And it's very active on it.
Yeah.
The sex on the storm out of silver sees it.
Yeah, big time.
Trans-Hasidic people, they don't.
All the big Gedolei Admira Hasidus are extremely likely. The Frat and Tefillah and Tahara.
Yeah. And then some of the seniors sure. And so many of us tell us he was already in the mountain.
Really?
yeah
You know,
He said
there's a shit of the
you know what else? You know what else is a Talmud of one of the Zindushay Rebbes? The Marasham.
Oh, yeah.
He writes with Farish. He writes a whole story in the beginning of his sefer about how the Zindushay became with the Shemayim.
Oh, it's Maamar for me.
Yeah,
It's in
that Maamar, and it's in the also in I think also the Ketama of what's called Chelas on the Codesh. He has he has the Marasham, Shalat Chuvas, he has an halacha, and then he has also what's called Chelas in the Codesh.
So also that's still on the
He became
it's on the Rosary and Purish and then what necessary and then only there's the very nice goes and they saw so most of the he said how we can cut quarters here and there, but only cut quarters. Yeah.
I can't cut literally the entire
Yeah, it was fun. Trans-Pacific people they don't learn that. They're not doing the same. Things that they don't understand and they aren't high that. I used to call them out.
That's minutes years.
It's hard to do. So that's why I told us
because why?
the Trans-Pacific.
What is exactly Trans-Pacific? I understand anything.
I would have to know the answer.
Should we do that?
Yeah.
How do you do it?
End stream. Go see the top corner of it. End stream. So I gotta do it again.